Good day and welcome to episode 3 of my vanilla tutorial series. Last episode we left off with the fundamentals of research being explained and built up. A nice and cozy little starter array has been built. A pretty low amount of resources available, but we're going to manage with all these problems. So last episode I was talking about more miners, and this is the first thing I want to start off today. Also, I'm going to research all the other technologies which need red science packs only, because we're going to expand in this area a little bit further. So I'm going to give this iron field a few more miners, and no, this won't work out like I want to. Okay, I'm going to accept that I'm not mining this out organized. I just have to accept. Okay. So I increased the amount of iron available for this array. And every one of these mining drills produces half a unit of ore per second. So if we check out with this tool here, one of these furnaces, we see that it consumes 0.3. So as you can see here, the calculations get a little bit annoying, because right now we can check out 4 of these furnaces, and we can see if you would do that by calculating in your head, you can do that, but it's a lot of work. So that's why I use things like the Helmod nowadays. This is one of the organizing tools I use a lot. You don't need to use it, but you can use it. So for now I want to know this program now tells me how much ore 10 of these furnaces will use. I mean, 0.313 times 10 is not hard. But right now I'm working with 8 miners, which are producing like 4 units of ore per second. So now I can see, well, 12 of these things will be roughly using up my income. So there we go. That's the goal. So there we go. Now I'm having 6, 8. Well, I'm out of room here, so I need to reorganize a little bit. So we're going to move the place with the bricks somewhere else. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 10, 11. So number 12 doesn't really want to fit in. I'm going to do it here. Okay, there we go. So this is a major increase of my ore production, of my plate production, but it is very, very necessary to produce as much iron as possible, because this stuff is literally everywhere. And let's keep researching. Steel processing. Okay. For the ideas I want to implement next, I'll definitely need larger amounts of iron, for sure. Also some copper, but during the early game, copper plates are not being used that extensively. Okay, so next up is going to be a few more inserters. I need more iron plates, and you can already see I need more iron plates. So I'm building a few more of those guys, and we're outputting there. Whoa, no. Wrong. We're not outputting with those. We're outputting with the red ones already. Forgot. In my usual arrays, I make it exactly the other way around, so it's confused me a little. Okay. So now we need the fuel intake, and as you can see, we're now having a little problem here, because the electricity poles are not working anymore, because we need all the room available for us. We need one inserter in front of that to input coal, and we need one inserter in front of that to output the iron plates. So we're going to solve that problem with underground belts. So there's a little strategy I like to use in situations like these, because I'm going to explain it a little bit more. I'm not able to give these guys energy. There are two ways to work around this problem. Point one, you're placing down your furnaces with one field in between them, and you can put down the electricity like that. Or you do it like I do. You pick up the underground belts, and you put them in front of the yellow ones, like this. And we're always going from yellow to yellow here. And there we go. This should work out as intended. When everything works fine, you're having room to put electricity poles down, and at the same moment the yellow inserters can grab coal from the underground belts. They can pick up the coal which is running below the hood, so it looks like they can't, but it's only a visual thing. So this way you can compact your ore production without better electricity poles, because right now I can only build those small ones. I have no better options. Other way is just to build a little bit more extensive. I'm going to show that on the copper furnaces. That's a good idea. Okay, we got that now. So I have now plenty of iron plates, and this is the point where I'm going to do the same thing for my friends, the copper plates. So we're going to I'm going to complete the topic right here. So I'm going to use, well, hard time deciding how many furnaces I want to put up, but I'm going to make it like this. So here we go. Now we're having a similar problem. So I'm going for the fuel intakes first. Oh. There's another little issue here, but we can work around that like this. So there we go. Let's give these guys energy. And I need to expand this a little bit like that. And then we're going to drop down the intakes here. Usually I would avoid to build here on the copper ore, but since this won't be living here forever, no problem for now. But always try to avoid to build production facilities on ore patches you want to exhaust later on. And now we're just doing the same thing here. We're dropping down the long-handed inserters to output, and as you can see now, with the furnaces being apart, one square from each other, we're having the opportunity to provide energy for everybody. A third option, which I just want to have talked about, would be a design like this, where you drop them, leave a space open every second furnace. I really need to put up an automated plant for these inserters. So we're going to explain it like this. Oops. So with the energy now, you can drop down poles from both sides, and then they get their energy. So these are the three best methods to put up furnaces that I know of during the early game with these small power poles. I personally have started to like this rather complicated looking thing, but the other ways are easier to understand and exactly as effective as this one. They just need a little bit more space. Okay, I'm gonna have some assembling machines because I am just tired of making everything by hand. So why can't I produce more of those stingers? Because I don't have enough iron plates. So as you notice, we're still not having enough iron plates, but that's a permanent factor in this game. We're never having enough iron plates. At least not during the early game. So I have now researched steel processing. That's something for the future. We're really not there yet. I'm going to research next something I really like, and that's fast inserters and filter inserters. They are the next few tools we have to work with. Okay, but for today I want to set up a little production facility which will provide us inserters, long-handed inserters, and the green technology as well. So let's go for that. To achieve this and more, I am going to do a first thing here. I'm going to dismantle this little situation here, because that was really only something for starters to accumulate some iron plates. And I'm going to lead out this whole belt out of this area here. So I can crop out this guy there, he's not necessary anymore. And because I'll produce more stuff down here, it's going to be okay if it runs here. But I also want to fill up this belt on both sides, and when you're dropping down a splitter like this, and then I just combine this the second output here, and then I can fill this belt quite nicely on both sides, because there's no reason to have only one side loaded. Okay, so we're having here our iron plates, and I feel like I want my copper plates as well. And that's why I split them off the last episode when we did the red science there. And now I'm going to lead these guys over there. And here we have a similar problem as before. I'm going to put the splitter here, fuse them again into a double-sided output, and there we go. Okay, we have now the fast inserters researched. I'm going to research next some simple things like heavier armor and the steel axe, which increases my mining speed, which also translates into dismantling speed. So I'm going to do this next. So dismantling speed is the speed of how quick this bar down here fills when you're picking up things. So this technology increases the speed of that. I like that. Okay. So because the inserters need not only iron gear wheels but also electronic circuits, we're going to need some pre-production here. So we're going over to our intermediate products, and we see here that an electronic circuit is made out of iron plates and copper cables. Copper cables, well, I guess you've already figured you're making them out of copper plates. So we're going to do the following things. We're going to set up a little facility which provides us with iron gear wheels and electronic circuits, and then we're going to produce the inserters. So the whole area here, which I'm going to use here, is something I like to call my starter base, which is going to be the place where I produce everything I need to expand into a big old factory, which I haven't even decided yet where it will go around. So the starter base will now grow over, well, I guess this area down here. So that's where we're going to be headed. I'm going to keep the research area somewhere here, because a starter base always should include a little bit of a scientific area as well. So after this has been planned through, I am now eager to pull my resources a little bit more south, because now I know where things are going to be produced. And the next thing is I'm going to build a little cluster where my intermediate products are going to be produced. To make this a little bit more organized, I really like to do this, but you don't need to. I'm going to put down some bricks in this area here to mark the spot. Also, you walk quicker on that, so it's a useful thing to do. And now we're going to do a little bit of work here. I'm going to split off a own sub belt of iron for this. I'm going to twiddle him around like this, so I can pick up iron from this line somewhere else if the need arises. So I'm going to get this guy over here. Oh well, yeah, now my perfectionism gets the best of me, so I don't like how this looks. So we're going to make it like that. There we go. So just waste a few less belts. Okay, so now we're going to make the iron gear wheels happen here. And going to use the MaxRateCalculator this time to see, to have a look on another option this program offers. It also evaluates how many inserters you need to properly utilize the full potential of a machine, because it is quite hard to understand when you look at this here. The game tells you that the inserter moves at a speed of 302 degrees per second. I mean, that is a nice way to formulate that this thing doesn't make a full rotation per second, but it's really hard to calculate that. So that's why I also use mods like these, because they tell me that I will need 2.4 inserters to fulfill the needs of this machine, which ultimately results in 3 inserters. And I'm going to have a little bit of an energy connection here as well. Let's put it down like this. And I'll need 1.2 inserters to output the iron gear wheels, so we're going to make it like this. I'm going to make that 2 times, and we're needing more inserters. So at least with a function like this, I can soak up lots of resources at once. That's quite something good. But apart from that, it's still just waiting for the handcrafting. Okay, but we're now setting up 2 facilities for iron gear wheels, which will work for us quite nicely. Okay, so the first part of the pre-production for the inserters has been done. So I just want to power this up and complete it. So there we go. Okay, next up, the electronic circuits. We're going to need copper cable facilities, and with the electronic circuits, it's a quite cumbersome calculation. That's why I want to use the Helmod again, because you're gonna notice why. So I'm going to tell the program here that we want a calculation about electronic circuits, and we want like 1 electronic circuit per second. That's the simplest of things. So now the thing tells me what I need, sure, and I want to know what I need to do to get those copper cables. So the program now tells me that I need 2 assembling machines of copper cables to fulfill the needs of 1 machine of electronic circuits. This is a really important little calculation that you should always do beforehand, because it makes your productions a lot more efficient. So because of that, I'm going to make my products, well, I'm going to make it like that. So we're going to need a little array of electronic circuits as well. The electronic circuits can be really easily produced with a quite simple array in general, where you just line up two of them like this. It goes like this. Yeah, now I remember. So this is a setup for 3 machines. There we go. So this works together really good. So let me configure it very quick. So these pieces fit together perfectly and produce 2 electronic circuits per second. So while setting up only one with 2 copper cables, I mean, I can show it to you, ends up with 1.2 copper cables being wasted. They're just not being used. If we set it up like this, everybody gets what they'll need. And also we're able to get everything going here. So one bad thing about all this is no, sorry, cut. I got confused. One bad thing about this is that you're not going to be able to pull this off with basic inserters. We won't be even able to have the room for that. So we're going to use fast inserters for this job because they are way quicker. Because when you look at that, if we use fast inserters, we're going to get the job done with 1 inserter on each side. Okay, so lots of pre-talking. Let's show you guys how it looks like in action. I'm going to pick up my copper plates from here. There we go. And we're going to drop down the inserters like this. And now let's see, every machine needs a connection to 2 of those. So it has to be like this. Okay, so yeah, exactly. So every one of these, every machine now gets the full output of one of the machines here. Like here, this guy gets a full copper cable input and half a copper cable input from here. Same goes for this guy. 1 full machine for him here, 1 half machine for him here. So this will work out ideal. I'm going to need more iron plates though for this as well. So I'm going to grab a few iron plates from here. Oops, that was not how I wanted it. And I'm going to lead them up here. So, because we're going to need iron plates as well. And if we look at those guys here, they're going to need also more than 1 yellow inserter for the iron plates as well. So I'm going to input them with fast inserters too. And to output the green circuits now, we're going to use long-handed inserters again because the room is just crammed up. Okay, now to power this whole machinery up. And there we go. This way we're having now a steady supply of 2 electronic circuits per second, and this is all our starter base will need. You're really not going to need much more than that for your starter base. If your starter base consumes much more than that, you should possibly check out if you're not planning too big for your starter base. Okay, now we're having the inserter parts completed. We're having iron plates, we're having iron gear wheels, and we're having electronic circuits. So I'm going to put something down here. I really only want one machine producing these things for me. So I'm going to put the inserter machine like here, because I just noticed that I can pick up steel the plates from here. I can pick up the gear wheels from here. And if I lead the electronic circuits over here, I can pick them up as well. So let's check out the inserters again. So if we look at that, every single job would need more than one inserter. So 1.2 basic inserters always translates into I'm not getting the job done effectively enough. So I'm going to replace those guys all with blue inserters to save up some time for me. Even the output has to be done with. Wow, okay. So we're going to drop these guys on a belt though. Okay, I'm going to make it happen like this. I'm going to replace the inserters on the fly. So there we go. So we're having now our inserters being produced. So no more handcrafting of inserters. Nice, isn't it? So we're going to need more than that though. The long-handed inserter needs an iron gear wheel, an iron plate, and an inserter. So, well, we can provide that as well. But first off, I'm going to drop down a chest somewhere. Well, I'm going to do it like this for now, to have always one stack of inserters available when I want to have them. So another thing I want to produce next is the facility for is a facility for transport belts, because I'll need those for the next science as well. And I also want to dismantle the little array up there, because it just doesn't belong there. So there we go. Maybe not like this. We're going to make it like that. What about this, friends? Using one underground belt like that, and there we go. So these are, as a matter of fact, the ingredients we are going to need for our green science. So I'm going to lead them over there, and I'm going to make another 4 of those machines, because I really like to keep those things in balance. Or, wait a sec, no. Haha, 4 and 5 seconds. 5 and 6 seconds. Oh, what a pain. So I'm producing what, 0.4 red science. So another moment where I love my mods. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell this thing that I want now 0.4 green science as well to match the 0.4 red science that I have. So now I'm seeing that I'm going to need 5 of those factories. Wonderful. Problem solved. So just like I said, you can calculate all that on your own if that's more your thing. But these mods offer you very effective means to solve those problems while having fun with designing your factory. But you certainly don't have to use them. I will provide you in this series basically with all the arrays and concepts you need to finish the vanilla game and understand what's happening there. Don't worry. I got you covered, my friends. So, we're going to make the green science here. So, I'm needing one more machine of the green science than I need for the red science, just because they produce a second longer. Okay. There we go. Leading the ingredients over there, and let's check how many inserters we'll need. And here the yellow inserters are fully fully optimal choices. There we go. Let's give those guys energy. And there we go. Since these factories are working on opposite sides of the belt, they're going to fill the green signs on one side and the red signs on the other side. And there we go. Our basic science part is finished. Hooray. So this is now all we're going to need to research deeper into the early game, and going to produce more laboratories now, because I feel like we're going to need a little bit more processing capacity here. So now then, next steps. I wanted to have a facility for underground belts and splitters as well, so I'm going to do this too. Going to achieve this by putting out some some belts here. Oh, well, I'm going to do blue inserters actually. So we're going to drop them into a wooden chest with a limited slot amount. And the underground belts are quite simple recipe. They're just needing a lot of iron plates in addition to a few transport belts. So I'm making it like this. I'm going to check out. So here for an optimal input, I would need blue inserters. I'm not even sure if these are completely enough, but I don't need to maximize the output here that badly. It has a simple reason, because I will limit the storage of this chest anyways, so it's not that important that I have the maximum amount available. Okay, another thing are the splitters. They need electronic circuits and transport belts. Well, we're having these things quite available here, so I'm going to do my splitters over here. Why not? It's a little bit improvised, but I do have a certain passion for improvisation, so... Oh, there's one downside, though. I'm going to do it like that. Normally, I wouldn't work like that. Oops, that was the wrong one. I'm sorry. So I'm going to do them here. So I'm having the option of picking up some circuits from there. Okay. So we're starting to get a few more things done automated. And I'm going to dismantle this little thingy here right away, because it's just not necessary anymore. And probably we're able to use this space somehow more convenient, but I will need the iron gear wheel production still, because this one is necessary for the red signs, you see. There we go. Okay, now let's produce some splitters. I'm going to drop down a few inserters here and there, and I'm going to do something like... We're going to make something like this happen here. Since I need some iron plates as well, I'm going to deliver. So, iron plates, and we're needing transport belts, so we're going to grab them from here. And that's that. Going to output this stuff here. And that's all I'm going to do for now. except for building myself one more array for long-handed inserters, because they just show up quite everywhere, and they are just that much necessary. So, wow, I'm really not having enough iron here. So I'm going to dedicate a single assembler of iron gear wheels just for the long-handed inserter machinery, because I know we'll need that. So I'm going to drop this guy down here. And there we go. So I now have an automated array of everything I need during the early game for my basic expansion. These splitters did get... well, they wandered somewhere quite far away, but it's okay. And while I'm not really having enough iron plates right now to sufficiently power this whole array, it's not that necessary. Because if we look at this, we can do it like that with the MaxRateCalculator. I would need 18.5 iron plates per second to power this thing like 24/7. And I tell you what, my friends, let's check out the number again. 18.5, right? Okay. So let's head over to the Helmod real quick. And I'm going to tell this thing now that I want a production of 18.5 iron plates per second. So that would be 60 furnaces. We would need 60 of those guys here working constantly to fulfill the needs of this little square completely. And that's why you limit your productions. Because if you're doing it like that, at some point these machines will stop producing, and then the strain on your production lines will ultimately go back, and everything will go back to normal. But in the long run, we want bigger productions, and that's why this is only a starter base. But it is quite a good starter base. And we're going to expand our power production, and then it's going to be quite about time to build up some more laboratories and then run the outro and talk about things to come. So I'm just building up the boilers and steam engines. I produced them last episode and completely forgot to install them for some odd reason. But yeah, we're needing a little bit more power here in the long run. There we go. And with these things being done during this episode, we're pretty ready to go deeper into the later stages of the early game. So there we go. I'm going to rearrange this situation a little bit. So I'm going to have two lines which are handing down the science packs to each other. And where was I? Yeah. Next episode. Next episode, I'm going to build more and more extensive mining arrays, and I'm starting to build bigger smelter and mining areas, because the next step for my progress will be researching more and increasing my production amounts. Because right now, the amount of iron and copper I produce is just not enough. If you look at that, I'm not even producing enough ore, and we're going to expand ore productions by a big amount. But to achieve that, I'll need to plan and build a lot of different things beforehand, and this is going to be the content of the next episode. So for today, we pretty much achieved everything we wanted to achieve. I now have logistics production, I have inserters. Oh, I botched up here something. I have inserters and everything else completed at this point. I'm going to make it like that. going to make a little squiggly snake here. We have pretty much everything completed we need for our basics here, and this brings me pretty much everything I need to expand further. Maybe I'll add up a assembler for electric mining drills and assembling machines in the next episode. I'm not sure if I'm really gonna do that, because the amount of raw materials these machines consume is quite hefty. I mean, maybe I can expand my little production here a little bit more, but ultimately I don't want to waste too much effort onto this starter base, because this is only meant to carry us so far. Oh, also I forgot another inserter here. There we go. This is only meant to carry us so far, and I would really prefer to build big arrays of iron production before delving deeper into machines which I can't really feed. Anyways, my friends, I would really like some comments, thumbs ups, or subscriptions to my channel if you want to support me and my work a little bit more directly. If none of those, just let me thank you for watching this video, and I hope you come back when we will put up big ore and plate production on the next episode. So see you guys. Bye bye.